to notice that we're ready. There we go. Thank you. Hello and welcome to Bethany United Church of Christ here in Cuyahoga Falls, Ohio. We are competing with 50 degrees and sunshine. How did that happen? I thought for sure it would stay overcast and people would say, oh, it'll be so good to be in the sanctuary at the church listening to beautiful music. But it appears we have some competition today. But I am so thankful that you are with us, and not only those who are gathered here, but also those who are gathered with us on live stream. Welcome to Bethany. We have very special guests today. And Dr. Malay, yes, you're going to talk to us a little bit about the Bandura School and about this beautiful instrument.
Yeah, good afternoon. We're going to make this pretty informal, I think, because we want interaction with the public here. So first of all, my name is Dr. Taras Machlai. Originally, I think, a physician, but with activities in Ukraine, I've become a humanitarian, sending aid to Ukraine, as I know that you have been doing quite a job here in your local community. I'm a physician, but I'm also a music lover, and I was taught Bandura from 11 years old, and I play the Bandura. So the Bandura is a only Ukrainian instrument. Only in Ukraine was there a Bandura. It's been developing since the 12th, 13th century as a instrument with several strings to more strings to more strings. And in the 20th century, it turned into 55 strings. This one actually has even more because it's a concert bandura. There's several different types. This one's called a Lvivska bandura because it was made in the region of Lviv, a western city. There's also, you will see most of the banduras that the children, students have are Chernihivska or Kievska, and that's in the central Ukraine. Several of the students also have something called the Poltavka and Kharkivska bandura, which are eastern Ukraine region. The bandura is the spirit of Ukraine. In the 16th, 17th, 18th centuries, the minstrels would be walking around with these instruments and singing songs about history, about religious themes, secular themes. They were the newspaper, the CNN, the Fox News, or whatever, the internet. And that's why this instrument is very special to Ukraine. It's sometimes difficult to talk because of the war. During the Soviet era, they actually gathered the kobzari, those were the minstrels, for a conference. And after the conference, they rounded them up and took them to a field. And you can guess what they did next. And again, we're dealing with similar issues going on now. Not only is it the warriors are fighting, but the Russian troops are firing on hospitals, libraries, schools. Oh, it's difficult to talk about, even though we're supposed to be doing music today. So I just wanted to introduce you to the Bandura. We have a school in Parma, Ohio. The name of the school is the Hryhory Kytasty School of Bandura. It is part of our parish, St. Vladimir's Ukrainian Orthodox Cathedral. The school has been there for decades, and we teach students on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. We also do virtual, so we could do virtual lessons in Cuyahoga Falls. if anybody really wants to join us. Well, actually, we do have some students from Western Canada, and one of our teachers, sometimes our special teacher, is from Ukraine. So, and the school performs mostly at Ukrainian events in Northeast Ohio. I think we're going to move on to the next stage, but I do want to see if anybody has any questions about Ukraine music, the Bandura. No questions. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
So where are they made? Are the best ones made in Ukraine?
Yes, there was the main factory in central Ukraine actually was burnt down, and there is one in western Ukraine. So most of the banduras being made have been made in Ukraine. We also have some handmade instruments that are being made here, both in Ukraine and here, because obviously, you know, to have a factory, you need to make many, and there's not that great of a need to have banduras in America or in North America. So most of the banduras, yes, are made in Ukraine. Obviously, it's a difficult time again because they're focused on other things as opposed to music and culture. We also have a Ukrainian museum in Cleveland, and our director always says, sometimes they go, why are they spending money? Or if we're asking for money for the library or culture or music, and what are we fighting for? Not the land. We're fighting for the people, the culture. Okay, our first student is going to play, Vasik Kimiotik is going to play a song called Czerwona Ruta, and that is a song about a flower. I'm going to put you in the middle here somewhere. I'm going to have them play a few chords to see how it sounds.
Thank you.
We're just trying to settle some things back there with some Bandura tuning. With the weather changing, we need to tune up the Banduras. I was going to do a short presentation video about the Cleveland Maidan Association. I'm on the board of this humanitarian organization, and we ship to Ukraine. So it's gonna play, and I'm gonna talk about the items that are going on in the video. Jason, if we may. Cleveland Maidan Association, it was actually started in 2014, because actually the war started in 2014 when the truth is the Russians took parts of eastern Ukraine and then annexed the Crimea. The group here, this is an older picture of, they go to different organizations to pick up medical supplies, and we were helping the wounded and also families that were devastated by either the death of their father, their brother, and those families were obviously in need. So we were sending them money, clothes, paying medical expenses. And then obviously in February 22, the situation significantly got worse. This is actually a picture of, we got 20 beds that we sent to Kherson. This is a city in southern Ukraine. It was under Russian control. And when last December it was deoccupied, and when the doctors came and my colleagues, they said that the hospitals were empty. Well, either they stole everything and put it on barges on the river, or they took it behind the hospital and destroyed it. And these are just some of the packages that we ship. We ship by containers, and we ship directly to hospitals. We don't go to any warehouse. It goes to Poland, and from Poland we have truckers that deliver it to the hospital. This was, we had a $40,000 antibiotic purchase, and we shipped it to different hospitals throughout western Ukraine. That was the beginning of the war. Things were a lot difficult to get into central, southern, eastern Ukraine. I think this part was, we also ship vehicles to Ukraine and buy vehicles. They need, basically we ship it to the medics for evacuation, because they get destroyed because of, obviously they're driving through bad roads or no roads, and they also are getting shot at. So they get destroyed all the time. They're usually used vehicles. I think we already shipped over 22. I don't know what the latest number, and these are medics, but obviously with the medics are soldiers, because it's irrelevant if you have a Red Cross on it, they still shoot at you. There was actually an American from Parma that went there, and his name was Manus McCafferty, and this video was made a couple of weeks ago because we had a fundraiser for him. I think he's Irish, and he went there, and a shell hit right next to him, and he lost complete vision in one eye, partly on the other, and he has other injuries, but he still is going back. We give him supplies, he gets his friends, he packs luggage, and he ships it to the Foreign Legion. And not only do we ship to hospitals, we also have been always shipping, especially when students and people just want to donate. We ship, last winter we shipped generators and warm clothes. And it gets to different people in eastern and southern Ukraine. Yes, a lot of people have left that area, but guess the people that are left. It's usually the elderly and the ill, or have no other support. So they don't know where to go and what to do. So they just stay put. And you're wondering, why are they sitting in a city that's still getting shelled? I've been in Ukraine and I've been at the hospitals, and when I'm, when I walk through the hospitals, here you see old people with different medical problems. The hospital was full of young people without limbs. This is our warehouse, and obviously we don't work that fast, but that's us packing. That day we packed 2 containers in a Saturday morning to afternoon. We have several corners that we pack, and onto the right we have garages, and that's where the container is, and we load them. This Ukrainian company, which is a trucking company, gives us space and use of facilities, and the best thing is they have a machine that wraps. Because when we were wrapping by hand, we were getting dizzy. The wrapping machine is the best thing, better than sliced bread. This is the place that we shipped to Kherson. One of our shipments came the day after the dam was broken. I don't know if you remember that. And the city got flooded, but none of the hospitals got flooded, and our hub did not get flooded because it gets shipped there, and then they distribute it to the 3 hospitals in Kherson. We also, that's warm clothes. We also send sleeping bags, thermal underwear. So there could be some pictures with that. And again, that's our little sticker, and that's the medic is in the middle. We also have education. We have physician exchange program. They were at University Hospitals, Cleveland Clinic, Metro, Akron General, Akron Children's, and Summit. Summa, sorry. And these physicians were the burn unit. You know, typically you have 5-10 burns in a major city in a month after one bombing. You could just guess how many people show up. Metro and Akron Children's have great burn units, and they let us use their simulators and their mannequins to train. Cleveland Maidan Association now has a $2.1 million project. We're going to be training medics. The problem is we have a lot of volunteer medics in Ukraine, but they're not particularly trained. Some of them are just volunteers that are coming and doing it. And I hate to say they're probably partly YouTube trained, but we're going to be working with the military, with NATO standards, with doctors training the medics. It took us 1.5 years to get this organized because obviously nobody was expecting a full-scale invasion. Another thing that we do is we have different Northeast Ohio fire departments donate their old fire gear. They get their new stuff. What do they do with the old stuff? It was just sitting in basements. So they donated here. We actually sent 2 ambulances that last summer. They loaded up the ambulances with the fire gear, and we shipped it over to Europe, and then they drove the ambulance in. There's pictures here of the ambulances and not that, but their gear. This is already in Ukraine. So in your community, I mean, we live in a blessed country, and there's a lot of medical stuff that's sitting in basements of hospitals. If anybody has any connections, if you guys get it, we'll ship it. It's always kind of funny when you see a picture of Ukraine, you got firemen, and they got English cities on it. That gentleman that you saw in the truck is actually retired Brigadier General Mark Arnold. He's part of our project to Ukraine to start these medic training programs. We're going to deliver it to our warehouse in Ukraine, but we don't know where the places are going to be of the 20 because it's secret. Because if If we know, they may know, and they're going to bomb it. This is the hospital. Yeah, I mean, I don't know all the pictures of these people, especially the families, but I'm thinking this is sometimes we do have people from the Cleveland Maidan Association that goes to Ukraine and we follow up on stuff. So sometimes I think it's just pictures of families where there's a deceased father, brother, and we just donate whatever, a couple $100 for them for food for the month. This is the gentleman on the right. I had the courage he has a family here in Hinckley, Ohio. He's out in Donetsk. That's 3/4 of Donetsk is under occupation. So he is probably 20 miles from the zero line, as they call it. We also work with many churches, Orthodox, Catholic, Protestants, Baptists, Pentecostals. We even started to work with some Muslims because there is a Muslim community. It's kind of funny how all these communities that were always separated, they're all one now. We also use the Ukrainian Orthodox churches has a big network, and sometimes we go through their network. And obviously, we also help the elderly. You know, if you have a container, 21 pallets fit in the container. If I have 18 pallets and I want to ship it out, we get food or clothes and fill up the rest because we're not going to ship a partial container. These are those medic packs for all the right tools to equipment, supplies. So if somebody gets injured. I think that's about it. We're going to continue with the concert. Does anybody have any questions? Something that's going on in Ukraine. I know that you guys are helping there. I don't know if you have any boots on the ground there, but I've been there and in contact with them on a weekly basis. If you want to know what's going on. No questions. Okay. Do you have any questions? Okay.
You brought information so that if any of us are interested in supporting.
Well, you know, I try never to be pushy about anything. I know you have your own little item. If everybody just pitched in and did their little niche, if somebody took care of a little community, a church, an orphanage, or help one little village with food, because obviously logistics is a problem in Ukraine. Much better now than it was a year ago. I don't know what we're going to be expecting this winter, if they're going to be using the Iranian drones to hit the infrastructure, the electric, the gas. We don't know what we're going to be looking forward for. So
I agree. If everyone does their little part where they are, it makes a huge difference. But people's interests are vast, and I don't think it's a zero-sum game, and I bet you don't either. I believe that God's generosity is limitless, and it's that limitless generosity and kindness and mercy and compassion that we want to connect with, and we know that you're living that out with your community. And so just having the opportunity to be together today,
Yes.
to learn more about what you're doing, and you're going to get to learn about what we've been doing. And
Yeah, I kind of more believe that I wanted to just help you guys, and we obviously working together is it's just a powerful force.
it is.
Okay, we're going to have two of the students come out and do a duet. Okay. Yeah, Alex Zhidovka and Kirilo Makhlai are going to do a duet. They're actually playing a Poltavka Bandura from eastern Ukraine. We actually have a grant from the Ohio Arts Council because this type of bandura has been kind of lost because during the Soviet era they did not want the minstrel more like banduras around. They're going to play Rozprahajte chlopci konie. Get your horses ready to go fight. Why don't you guys play a couple chords to see, make sure that it sounds good. Sound check. Sound check, yeah. Maybe you move forward a little bit. We're going to need 2 minutes to set up here. So if you can, why don't you tell to the live stream the mission that you are doing, since I already gave our mission.
Well, I'll do that when we do the PowerPoint, but I'll let everyone know who's here that following this lovely concert, an opportunity to learn and be united in support of Ukraine. You are welcome to come downstairs to our social hall. where we have refreshments for you to enjoy. And we also have a bake sale and different raffle items to partake in that help to support our outreach to Ukraine, which you'll hear about in a little bit. But we are so pleased that you're with us today. And not only those of you who are here, but those of you who are watching on live stream. And if those of you who are on live stream would like to contribute to our Ukraine appeal, just go to our website, bethanyucc.org, and you can make your contribution via PayPal, and you will find a Ukraine appeal tab on our website. Wow. I rarely say this, but we need a bigger chancel. Oh, this is wonderful.
We still have to set up the. I'm sorry, not the whole school showed up.
I'm not. My goodness, this is like Christmas. Seeing you here on a Sunday afternoon, that you would come out to be with us and play such beautiful music and help us in our outreach to Ukraine. I am all but speechless. But I'm a pastor, so I'm never allowed to be speechless. I always have to be able to find some words. I'm just, you are so, just your presence with us is such a blessing. I don't think I'm alone in feeling that way, am I? I am not. I am not. Oh. This is so exciting. And for the parents who are here today, please know that this is being recorded. So you'll be able to get the link to the recording, so you'll be able to enjoy that as well.
Everybody got notes? Good, okay. We're going to play two pieces. The first one is called Hejnum Chłopcy, Brothers to Arms. And the second piece is going to be called Homin Stepiv. And Homin means the echo, Stepi are the steppes of Ukraine. And there's Ukrainian melodies, and there's also this little bit of a Turkish flavor to it because the Cossacks were always in fighting the Turks and the Tatars in the 16th, 17th, and 18th century, and that's what the theme of the song of is.
And am I right in that not only do you learn the music, but the music is also a way of also teaching the next generation the culture and the traditions and the history that is so vital, so that Ukraine and continues.
The spirit will not die.
The spirit will not die. The work that you are doing is holy work and so very important. We appreciate, again, that you could be with us today. And
I'm happy to be here.
good.
I can speak for the children. They're happy to be here.
Would you like to hear a little bit about what we've been doing?
Yes.
And about the connection that we had before we even met? Well, we are not a Ukrainian community. Our heritage here is German in its background. But when we heard about the war, the escalation in 2022, we were horrified, as I think all people around the world were, because it was just so wrong. And as we got closer to Easter, we wanted to have an opportunity to learn more about Ukrainian customs. And so I thought it would be nice on Easter if we could watch a video as part of worship that talked about Ukrainian Easter customs. So I went looking and found one that was produced by Cobblestone Freeway Tours, and that had a young man, Taras Sabadash, and his grandmother, who were teaching about Ukrainian Easter customs. And Taras was one of the cooks at your Bandura camp in 2022 in the summer. He had just come with his family from Strach, outside of Lviv, and had settled in Puxatawney, Pennsylvania, and was just trying to find his way. And he was at Bandura camp as one of the cooks. And he came back and told me all about it, and about all the people he met from Parma, and the beautiful music. And so we knew about you before we had met, because to get permission to use the video, I reached out to Cobblestone Freeway Tours in their Lviv office, and they said, oh yes, use it in worship. And I got Taras's contact so that I could let him know how we responded. And of course, the congregation was so excited to learn about him and his grandmother and about the different customs around Easter in Ukraine and at his church. So he and I began corresponding, and he said, oh, my church is doing a really important thing. They had a retreat center on the grounds of the Dormition of the Blessed Virgin Mary, Ukraine. I'm going to see if you can turn that microphone off, because we're having feedback issues. So, where was I? So, Taras was telling about his church, how they had a retreat center on the grounds, and that as soon as the war escalated and people started moving en masse to the Polish border, they had opened the retreat center for people to stay. And people were spending the night and then moving on to Poland. And they were trying to figure out, well, they were a church. They weren't equipped to have this onslaught of people. But they opened their arms, and Pilgrim House became a place where people could stay. Initially, they were just staying 1 or 2 nights. But then, people from Mariupol, people from Bucha, they came, and they had no place to go back to. And many of them had no families to go back to. And some arrived with nothing. And so Pilgrim House was taking them in. And they were living there. And this is a picture of the church, the Strach Church, and that's Pilgrim House. So our mission committee, led by Carolyn B. Hoffman, said, well, we got to do something. And so we found out what their immediate need was. And their immediate need was, well, now we've got all these people to feed 3 times a day, and we need another refrigerator. So we got the money together, and we sent her the money for a refrigerator. And they also got some knives and some extra cooking gear and things that they needed. And it gave us time to get organized and figured out what else could we do, because we felt this bond. So we decided that we would send them money for food. And so by the end of July 2022, we had ourselves organized so we could send $1,275 a week so that the food could be bought for everyone who was staying at Pilgrim House, so that the displaced Ukrainians living there could have 3 meals a day. And we were able to do that because the community around us was so generous, and our members were so generous. And we'd have fundraisers, and people would come, and they would give money, and we would send money. And so week after week, we would send the money, and the food would be bought. And we decided we can't fix all of the problems, but we can feed the 45 to 68 people who are living in that place. So Pilgrim House is just amazing, and Jason will go to the next. Of course, winter came, and lots of power outages. Those are the young people celebrating a birthday party by candlelight. And we watched them struggle. We watched them cook outside when there was no power. And we prayed and prayed that they would be able to get a generator. They gathered water because when there was no power, there's no water. So they would gather water, and that's Father Ivan on the left and Father Petro on the right in the storage area where they would store water. So they would make sure that there was water for people when they were thirsty. Father Petro is there with a portable generator they borrowed so they could at least get some electricity going in Pilgrim House. And then an angel from Florida got them a real generator. And that will get them through this winter. And we are thankful for the generosity of people who made that happen. They had been borrowing and renting vans to go get supplies. But our sister church in Princeton, New Jersey, donated the money to get them a used van. So now they didn't have to rent. And there's Father Ivan and Father Petro out picking up humanitarian supplies with the van in less than great weather. The children at Pilgrim House, and there have been as many as 28 children in residence at any time. They tried to make life as normal as possible. They had been making trench candles for the soldiers and cookies to share. Anything they can do to help the children who are living there have a more normal existence. The children got to go out into Lviv for an outing in McDonald's, gave them all free meals, and they got to go to a fun fair-like place. An opportunity in the midst of this hell to just have a little bit of normal life. There they are at Christmas. St. Nicholas is there, and all of the children received gifts donated by a very generous church in Germany, and all of the children got hats and coats donated by generous churches in Italy, and there are the young people with St. Nicholas in the temple at the Strach Church. And there is Father Ivan and everyone gathered for the Christmas meal. And because of your generosity, not only were all of the people living and in Pilgrim House fed for Christmas, but it was open to everyone who lived in the village of Strach. And meals were taken to the elderly so that no one was without a meal on Christmas. And we watched them, and their generosity increases. And on that back wall there is a proclamation hanging. And they made that proclamation that you see in the video. And it's a proclamation naming all of the people from here and our surrounding community who had faithfully supported them during 2022, so that whenever they're in their kitchen, they have a reminder of us. And we, on the back wall of our sanctuary there, where Marcia's pointing, have a reminder of them. So this is what is amazing about them. They have taught us so much about what it means to be generous. They realized that members in the village were also being isolated. So every Sunday afternoon, they opened the Pilgrim House to everyone in the village to come up for a social time, to have hot drinks and some hot food, and just be around other people. They don't operate with a mindset of scarcity. They operate with a mindset of abundance. What they have, they share. And there's Father Petro in the kitchen looking at food that's been prepared. And I understand they are marvelous cooks. I'm getting hungry looking at that. More pictures of food. You sent that food. You made that possible. I know with so much bad news in the world, it feels like we can't make a bit of a difference. But yes, we can. And yes, we do. In 2020, and Father Ivan's wife and daughter, in the back of that picture, they came to see us this spring and brought gifts for us, and also to make sure that we could see each other and have that human connection. So they brought love from Strach, and we sent love back with them. So, there is no scarcity in Strach. They had part of Pilgrim House that had not been developed yet. They got a grant. It's been developed to be a healing center where those who have been traumatized by the war, particularly soldiers, here can come for 3 days. We wish they could come for more, but they come for 3 days before they go home to be with their families, to do some intensive trauma work, and to get some tools to help them process what they've been through. And so the money that you give that goes to feed the people at Pilgrim House feeds these soldiers too when they come before they go to see their family. And that wasn't enough. Talk about loaves and fishes. So they realized they could open their doors to the NGOs who were on their way to and from Poland. And the NGOs could stop, and whoever they were bringing could have a lunch. First, it was people who were leaving Ukraine from the front lines. Here, it's young people who are children of soldiers or children from frontline villages who, thanks to the Angels for Ukraine, got 2 weeks vacation out of the war. And here they're stopping in Pilgrim House on their way to and from their vacation to have food, to have fellowship, and to receive that hospitality. You make that happen. They're eating the food you sent through your contributions. This is extraordinary. Here, Father Ivan is with a group of families of missing warriors. They're able to come to Pilgrim House, have lunch, spend time together in a peaceful place, and grieve and worry and deal with the trauma of not knowing where their loved ones are. Always opening their arms further. And it all revolves around that kitchen, where there's always a hot meal, where there is always something warm to drink. I asked Father Petro why it was so important it was hot food. He said, some people when they come to us have been underground for a long time, and the food they've been eating is cold. We have to make sure they have warm food, nourishing food, and that we keep the lights on so they're not in the dark. A place of compassion and mercy. Now, there are some of the children from that first Easter in 2022. We look at them, and many of them are still there because they came from places they can't go back to. And it's difficult to come up with a plan B. Not everyone can easily immigrate. Not everyone has the resources or the contacts or the ability to deal with the extraordinary amount of paperwork. But they are being fed and they are being loved. They are enrolled in the local school in Strach, and it will be home for them until there is another home. It's a little place in Ukraine, but it is making a difference for the people who are there. And you are making a difference. You have made it possible so that Fathers Ivan and Father Petro don't have to worry about where the food is going to come from for their guests. They can worry about the other things, and other helpers step in to help. But you are doing this one piece and doing it so well. So thank you for doing that and doing it consistently and faithfully every single week. I don't know when this war is going to stop. I don't know when it is going to be safe and when Pilgrim House can revert back to being a retreat center for people who come to Strach to walk the Stations of the Cross. But for as long as God allows us to, may we faithfully continue to support this holy work and all the other holy work that is being done. Thank you. And thank you for being here to help us today with our fundraiser. Does anyone have any questions about Strach and about our dear friends? Well, we have a gift for you today. And Brad, maybe you could help me with the gift. We want to honor the work you're doing and your willingness to be with us today. So as a congregation, we have, if you could just remove the covering, we have been taking a collection, and we have filled the box with tourniquets and Stop the Bleed, and underneath there are some nasal cannulas that are all medical grade and wrapped. And this is from us to you. So thank you for all you're doing.
Not much to say, but just a big thank you from Ukraine and from Ukrainians. Yeah, we actually... I don't want to say much after the wonderful speech and discussion of your project. I don't know if you're looking for another job. We need spokespersons for Maidan. I have plenty of busy bees, but I need a spokesperson. We actually have 2 containers worth that we're going to be shipping on Friday, so that will fit in there.
Good.
And it's going to go to eastern Ukraine, where there's a lot of places that is needed, but that one, it's even more needed there. But I just wanted to, looking at those pictures and looking at the volunteers, that's what's happening throughout Ukraine. When I was there, people would be working their job, and after their job, even though if it was medical or whatever, they didn't go home. They grabbed the coffee and went to their volunteer job. And that's how it is everywhere there, because I hate to say they don't have a choice, and they're just doing God's work. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you so much for being with us today. Please come downstairs and get something to eat. We feed people here. And if you so feel inclined and want to put in a ticket for a raffle basket, we won't stop you. But do come downstairs and eat. And on behalf of everyone here at Bethany, thank you for being here.